saved to come out? Yeah. Is it saved to come out? Hello! Oh, good evening. And welcome along, of course, to the Tuesday Club on Wednesday. After another Wednesday night defeat for the Mighty Reds, or the less than Mighty Reds as it turned out tonight. This is, of course, the Tuesday Club. It's brought to you in association with RedsBet. RedsBet, of course, are a betting site tailor-made for Liverpool supporters. RedsBet aims to share half of their net profits with Liverpool supporters and fan causes, so no matter what, the fans end up a winner. Check out the odds on redsbet.com or download the RedsBet app. Share the glory and gamble responsibly, and I hope you all cleaned up tonight for some reason or another on the RedsBet app. Yeah, it's not the happiest of studios we've had. It's a tough one to talk about. It's a lot tougher than it was against Chelsea last week. We're already a man down. Unfortunately, Neil is dead, and again, he's had as many deaths now as Trev at this stage. Unfortunately, on this one, he's not gone to the good place. No, sorry, he's not gone to the good place, and he's not coming back from the happy place either. Joining me tonight, I am, just to make this easier for everyone, and just especially for Gav, who's on production tonight, I'm joined by Ray. Sir. and Ray and Smithy, the artist formerly known as Ray. You may remember Ray, he used to be bald. Since then, he's been to a joke shop and bought some hair and stuck it onto his head and claimed that he got a hair transplant. And he'd go back and ask him to take it back off again. Fucking hack of it. Anyway, I don't really want to talk about the match, to be totally honest with you. So, Ray, how much that cost you?
£2,000.
Oh, fair play. That's grand.
And the people that think it looks bad are the people that have hair.
Yeah.
Ask a baldy person how good it looks and they'll say it's fucking deadly.
Now, looking at the Liverpool team, is anybody you recommend needs a hair transplant?
No.
So there's
I
not a
think
single Liverpool player.
Actually, Fabinho and Mane.
Fabinho.
Seriously, Mane blesses himself like that now at this stage. He doesn't. He wakes up in the morning.
Mane's hairline is gone
his face.
so far back, it's about to meet yours,
head,
isn't it? Ray Dicko Dickinson. You were meant to host this, but due to the fact that I was a large scale bit of transit during the match and had to watch it in strange places and the whole lot, I said I'd take over the duty tonight. Ray,
play.
You saw this from the outset.
I did.
Thoughts, mate? Thoughts? Like you're going over to the City game at the weekend.
Yeah.
Look on the back of this and on the back of what we've seen in the last few games, it's concerning. Isn't
I'm pretty worried now. Yeah. I mean, this time last week when we lost the game to Chelsea, obviously penalty shootout competition where we made a lot of changes, but tonight it was a pretty strong side, wasn't it? You know, I was quite happy with Keita to come in for Henderson. Everything else seemed like it was set up to get at least a point there. But they just seemed surprised by how Napoli came out at us in them first 10 minutes. It seemed to really rattle us. Mm-hmm. And then obviously get the injury to Keita. And it just felt like for a long time there that the 0-0 was the best we were going to do, and it started on the wrong. It started on the wrong foot.
Never knew it'd come to this, right?
It didn't get any better, to be fair. I was really kind of taken aback tonight by how poor that was. Really,
Smithy.
Yeah. Like you're one of the positivity crew.
Yeah, I am.
That's let you down tonight, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was surprisingly just scattery, open, scuttery. Yeah, just wasn't us. Wasn't the team I seen against Chelsea last week. Anyway, really hard to put your finger on it. Just like what Ray said, it was almost a shock thing that we just didn't seem to know what we were doing. We couldn't seem to hold on to the ball. Russian passes, just Russian, basically. Moscow.
That's fair point. Fair point. Moscow indeed. But you know, I suppose we do have to delve into this because if we don't, it'd be just depressing. To just ignore it and carry on like nothing happened. But you look at this game and you say to yourself, as Ray said, the question keeps remaining and the question is going to keep coming back, and a lot of us will hang our hats on it and hope that for the best, but the front three just aren't working at the moment. And that midfield, like for me, it's the first game in a long time where I thought we were quite stretched from back to front. Our defence looked a long way back to where our front three are.
Gaps.
When we've been at our best, we've been quite compact. We could move the ball quickly between the lines. Now that's you know, that you have to congratulate Ancelotti and Napoli for stretching us that way. But at the same time, as a unit, we didn't seem to function really well. And for me, I thought Wijnaldum and Milner looked like two players that were starting to look a bit tired out there. They did look.
They played a lot of games.
And I thought as much Wijnaldum, for me, didn't have as good a game as he's had over the past few weeks. He played well, don't get me wrong, in relative things. He broke things up well, but his ability to retain the ball and take care of that ball wasn't as good as it has been. And the same with Milner. Was back to the old Milner like may as well. I thought there was something wrong with the pitch. All right, this is it, right? When I watched it, when I started watching the game of Force, I thought that we were playing Luton in 1984. It looked like a plastic pitch.
Don't give me flashbacks to that night.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. It just looked like we weren't able to manage the surface and we weren't able to retain the possession. Did I miss something in that?
Well, you had to mention tiredness, and that didn't particularly jump out at me. I just thought we were scattered, and we seemed to just lose shape constantly for the whole game. There was no format to our play. There was nothing, and it's something I haven't seen for us in a long while. It was like the old Liverpool, dare I say, from a year or so back, where you were just seeing teams piling on like this and we were scattered and there was no shape, and I don't know, we were very disjointed tonight. I can't put me tiredness I wouldn't have said was an issue, but we just didn't seem to get set in that way of playing, and it never happened over the 90 minutes.
There's a bit of concern now, isn't there, with the midfield three. We don't know what the situation is with that injury for Keita, but we thought we'd have like 3 from 5 essentially. That's kind of been 3 from 4 because he hasn't utilised Fabinho up until this point. And now if Keita's gone, then you are only actually left potentially with the 3, unless he is willing to put some trust that Fabinho can do a job. So that is a bit of a concern. Now, I don't know. I think Klopp always has a plan in terms of managing the squad. Like we've seen what he did last year in terms of managing the squad and avoiding tiredness. I think there is a bit of tiredness creeping in, particularly with players like Milner and Wijnaldum. And the problem for me is that the way these fixtures have fallen, we got a difficult tie in the League Cup. We get tricky start to the Champions League, and we haven't been able to really utilise some of the players that he maybe would have wanted to utilise, because I don't think he trusts them at this stage. I think he wanted to try and do a job with a core of about 13, 14 players, and unfortunately it doesn't seem to be quite working out, which for me, the game against City on Sunday is going to be a tricky one, isn't it?
Is the argument though with Fabinho not trusting Fabinho more or less down to the fact that Wijnaldum has done such a good job in there, rather than actually thinking that Fabinho's not up to it? From the clips I've seen of him, he looks slightly off the pace with the Premier League, but whether he's not up to it or not, I'm not quite sure. I just think Wijnaldum's being brilliant there, and there's no reason to rock the cart almost.
I just think he's seen the fixtures, and what we've got coming up after the international break is a far easier block of fixtures potentially to get Fabinho up to pace. Yeah. And he hasn't had the luxury really of that up until this next international break.
Lads, some question comes in. Kev O'Sullivan puts a decent one to us there. It says, can't remember us coming up against a 3-4-3 in a long time. We couldn't keep the ball. We really did struggle to retain possession. Now, I know, and Andy said it last week, and we do like to play without the ball. We do like to be able to spring the counter very quickly on teams, to suck them on and hit them and use the space for Firmino, Salah and Mane to operate in. Yeah. But it's okay to do it, but we were getting swamped. And that goal came from a 25-minute spell of Napoli being able to do to us what we've done to other teams. They were pressing us around it, winning the ball back off our midfielders, and able to get around the flanks and put balls into the box. That goal was an inevitability. Alisson had made a series of good saves. Even the one that goes out the underside of the post, I think they might have showed in the replay there was a faint touch as the ball as Mertens' shot goes past him as well. But like, that goal had been coming. We'd had enough warning signs. There were a couple of offsides, and Ancelotti obviously looked at us and says, if we can get down the flanks, we'll get in behind the fullbacks, and what we're going to try to do is flood the box from the bylines. And that's essentially what they did, and that's how they got their goal. Ultimately, that's how they got the goal. They got past Robertson, got down, whipped the ball back across, and Insigne gets on the end of it. And it's a classic goal.
Van Dijk's being dragged out of position.
But that's the type of goal
as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the type of goal we have scored so many times last season. That's the type of goal that we were really happy that we were scoring last season, getting around teams, pulling the ball back, and you had Firmino or Salah or Mane, two of them always in the box, queuing up to take it, basically start a ball home. Yeah. And it's disappointing.
The caveat to that then is to let's move up the other end of the pitch, and in games when them chances would have popped up for other teams, we've already been 2 or 3 up, and that we need to sort of talk about how our front three aren't clicking, basically, and what attacks we did have, semi chances, half chances, call them what you want, but we didn't
really have to work.
No,
we didn't work Ospina, did we really?
No, and it's just the link up top just isn't what it used to be. For now, hopefully, let's hope last year wasn't a one season wonder, and they're struggling for form at the minute.
I think the Salah thing it's overplayed. All of a sudden, he's a one season wonder. Yeah, he came off the back of a record-setting season for Roma before he signed for us, right? So he's come off the back of 2 wonderful seasons. Nearly every player in the world, if they've put 2 top-class seasons behind them, will have a fall off at some point, and he's gone through his fall off. The one thing I do know is that he will, and he does have the class and the ability to get back to the level that he's at. Okay, I don't think there's any doubts about that. I think, though, structurally as a team, we probably have to change the way we're playing to get those 3 back into the game. Our midfield can't be so stretched. No. Our defence can't be so deep. We need to have the faith and confidence to push up. And when a team like they need the credit where Ancelotti deserves the credit tonight. He stretched that team. He set out his tactics. He put 3 at the back. He put 4 in midfield and put 3 up front with a view to stretching that Liverpool team, knowing that they would more or less negate the quick breaks. And we reacted too slowly.
Yeah, and he come up with a plan, knowing that really they needed to go out there and win that game. I think it was Gav who made the point, like they because of what happened in their first game against Red Star and us beating PSG. It was the emphasis was on them to win that game tonight. Otherwise, even us going away with a 0-0 would have put them in a precarious position in the group. So you've got to give them credit. Like, you can't deny that. Okay, it was a late goal. We were a few minutes away from getting a decent 0-0, but you can't deny that they deserved a goal. You can't really argue too much against that at the end of it.
You'd also say that in general, last year's Liverpool, if there was a team going all out to try score against us, you'd fancy us even more. Yeah, almost. Yeah. And this season, because it's not happening up top, we're not
nicking those goals, are we? We're not, and then putting teams in a more desperate position and picking them off again and again and again. It's not happening. You're right. We're not scoring with that kind of free flowing frequency that we did last season.
Right, I'll put it to you though, the positive of this, you do not want to be the form team in September and October. You just need to do enough to get yourself through to Christmas, right? Yeah. And up to now, we've done enough to get ourselves into the position we want to be. And even after tonight, we've got 3 teams on 3 points in this group, okay? Yeah. We face Red Star Belgrade.
Home
and away. Sorry, actually Napoli have 4 points. We've got 3, PSG have 3, and Red Star have nothing, right? We play Red Star twice, right? Yeah. If this team performs to 80% of its ability and doesn't think it's just going to walk in and take the points off Red Star, it can pick up 6 points from its next 2, and that puts the pressure back on both Napoli and PSG. No matter what happens, that gives us 9 points with 2 games remaining. 1 being an away trip to Paris and 1 Napoli back to Anfield. Like if somebody says to you at the start of the group that you go into your last 2 matches and arguably a win from one of those 2 games gets you out of the group, you take that every single day of the week. It's Champions League football. Yeah. If we get a 0-0 there tonight, do you know what we're talking about in this? That's a classic Rafa away journey. That's what we remember from 2005, 2006, 2007. That's essentially what it is, right? Now, while saying that, though, you know, there is those underlying issues that we've been talking about there. But the positives remain. Joe Gomez, up until the goal, is the best defender in the park there tonight.
Yeah.
I'd say there's Italian teams looking at him going, where did they find him from? Where did they find this kid? His maturity and his form and his performances this season have been nothing short of sensational.
All the hipsters were right, eh?
I know.
He's not a fullback. He's a centre half. He's a centre half.
Who used to be in here.
Occasionally.
Was here.
He's underneath a barbell now at the minute, as we speak. What is it? 120?
But Shawnee used to be in here. Shawnee told me that he was a top class centre back. I laughed, as I said. He was 2029, and I was 2018. That's the way around. But you know, to be fair, to see a fella mature and play the way he's played this season is brilliant.
Yeah, and the double benefit of it is that we don't have to rely on Lovren now.
Yeah. Double whammy. Yeah.
Or Matip, for that matter.
Or Sacco.
When he comes back off
Can
loan.
someone explain to me how
he's still on loan, that's why.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, he's getting his ankle fixed.
Yeah.
Ankle fixed.
How
Him and
many
Lance
penalties
Armstrong.
has he given away this season?
What?
At least 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
3 for Palace and 1 for us, I think.
Lance Armstrong said that he's definitely a top end player. Nothing to see there. Manchester. Is a City.
Yeah.
Heads. Anyway, look. The one thing though, you know, going back to the match itself, the team that you know you see Barcelona tonight, the team that's able to control the ball in Europe, fundamentally tends to control the game and nearly always comes out the winner at the end of the day in a match like this. One of the big pluses of the game against Chelsea at the weekend was we really controlled the ball. Sarri, who was being vaunted about wanting to retain the ball and playing in possession the whole lot, we did that to Chelsea. You look at our second half and we dominated the possession and time in possession in that second half against Chelsea, and we get the equaliser out of it. Ultimately, it was pressure. It was minutes of pressure that cost us tonight. You know, and what's interesting is it probably comes just after we got a couple of breaks. It was when we started to look like we might go and catch them with a sucker punch, and we just get that little bit stretched and we get overloaded down one side, and they finally get somebody on the end of a cross. Yeah. But lads, is there anything for us to worry about looking ahead to the City game? Because ultimately, that's where our focus moves on. If we beat City at the weekend, this vanishes into insignificance.
It does, but I think it is worrying. Just down to the simple fact that we're coming off a negative result and we've a day less recovery than City coming off a positive result yesterday. So, you know, I'm sure the odds makers will probably make City favourites for Sunday.
If you take the red goggles off as well, you hand on heart by watching the two teams, you'd say City have been playing the better stuff, and we haven't. So I put them as the form team going into it, and you're just hoping for one of them Anfield atmospheres, and we just eventually click into gear. Even I know it's been a good season so far for where we are in the league, but we haven't really clicked. So you're hoping maybe this big game, big atmosphere, and this might be the
catalyst.
The catalyst.
Yeah,
that's the word, right?
That's what I think. That's almost what Sunday needs to be now. I know then we'll have a 2-week international break, but like it's massive now Sunday, not only for the points and the position in the league and all that sort of stuff. I think the feel good if we win that game on Sunday going into the international break will be huge, compared to the potential of no winning 4, behind City in the league. I mean, we could even be sitting in 3rd. I mean, Chelsea could go above us and things like that. So it's huge. Like Sunday is huge now. It was already big, but it feels even bigger now. Even though in the whole scheme of the Champions League, it may not have dinted our hopes that much. Yeah. But just in the grand scheme of things, because a lot of questions start to get raised. I noticed. I was watching 2 different halves of commentary, but there was a consistent theme for me. you pointed it out, Phil. People see the commentators now getting a bit excited at the prospect of us losing games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's starting to get noticeable. Yeah, they were happy for us to win a few games to begin the season, but
well,
I think
once you take on the favourite mantle, that's what happens. You know, there's just someone waiting you to take it down a peg. Last season, we would have been underdogs going into it against City, reaching the Champions League final. It wasn't expected.
Yeah.
The brand of football was great. Everyone got on board with that. But now it's Liverpool are title favourites with City, and all of a sudden it's good if they get beaten type of thing.
Yeah.
It's look at this. Here's
Here's
the big
some
teams
problems.
There's problems in camp type of thing. So
Well, they'd love
maybe it's the bar we set for ourselves.
No, but
know?
again, I think they would love to if there was some type of rouse or something like that, because then they could get the cameras down a la Pogba and and have a nice big news story. But I think we have a fairly good spirit, what appears to be a good spirit.
I don't think we're anywhere close to that.
Is it an element? We've come through such a tough series of fixtures. We've played PSG, we've done Chelsea twice, we've played Napoli now, we played someone. Who was the other teams we played? Spurs as well.
Yeah.
And then Southampton was in there. Southampton, the only one is the one that you're probably saying to yourself, we should win.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of mental fatigue going on with the players.
Absolutely, yeah. That would be part of it. The whole fatigue question includes the mental fatigue. They've got to get themselves up for every game, and this is what I mean about the next block of games isn't anywhere close to the level physically or mentally that we need to be at, and I think players like Shaqiri, players like Sturridge, Fabinho, even giving Trent a rest, do you know what I mean? Things like that will come in this next block of games.
Our biggest thing for me though has been up front though. The fatigue thing is getting mentioned a lot, but it's not clicking up front, and we're not scoring shitloads of goals the way we were.
But is there not an argument then that we should rotate that a bit?
I don't remember ranting and raving about our midfield last year. It was just our top three were doing the business up top end. I was never sitting there saying, look how deadly our midfield are. They were there and they done a job, but it was never.
Right, can I ask, is it not then a question, we're all happy with the rotation through midfield that we're seeing, right? And that we're seeing Henderson come in and Keita come in and Milner being rested and Ronaldo being rested, right? Should we not see then, would it not benefit us more to start seeing a bit more change in the front three? I can understand Klopp thinking to himself, I just want to get through this block of games, put my best 11 out there, put the front three, even if they're not clicking, it only takes them to click once or twice in a game to get us 2 goals, and we now have a defence that can hold the lead.
It's always that thinking of how good they can be, and that's the worry, isn't it? That, what if it clicks now? Do we take them off? Well, maybe I should have left them on for another 10 minutes, and it might have just happened. That's because they were so good, and the levels that they hit were that high. Regardless of people saying Shaqiri could step in and it's not that much of a step down, how good they were is always, well, that's what they're aiming for again, and it is a dodgy one, I think, when you're taking fellas off. There's no problem with it after 60 minutes if someone hasn't done well, but when you're starting the game, you have to just stick with that and hope that, for me anyway, they just hope that it's going to kick back into gear for now. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last with me personally, but that's the way I feel at the minute. And if after half an hour, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, that it's definitely not clicking for one of the three, then make changes. But I think for now, for me, I'd still stick with the three.
Our producer has a question.
Yes.
I'll tell you what the question is. For me, the team tonight was right. Keita is that link to the front three, right?
He goes after 15 minutes, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes after 15 minutes, and I think the change is wrong. I think we're bringing on Henderson, and you still have Wijnaldum deep. You end up with a flat three. There's no link to the front three. Like you're talking about how good the front three were last year, and you weren't talking about the midfield, but there was always a link there, like
Chamberlain.
Coutinho
I
or
was
Chamberlain.
going to say the sub was Oxlade-Chamberlain, wasn't it? That was the sub if he was there.
Yeah, and he had that burst of energy. I had that bit of creativity about him. What I wanted to ask you was, would you have made a different change in hindsight, looking and saying not Henderson and maybe a Shaqiri?
Don't be nervous, Gav. It's okay.
No, I'm
You're
not
a friend.
I wouldn't go that far. But
so maybe a Shaqiri, and that's a total shape change then, isn't it?
Yeah, but just to keep that link. And the reason I ask is because if you watch the first 15 minutes, all right, they're having decent. We always seem to have an out ball, and it probably is Keita, and he nearly gets Mane in once or twice. Do you think that if we'd have went and said, okay, we're going to go like for like in the change, instead of a Henderson who's, let's be honest, he's more defensively minded.
I think the real question is, can you afford 2 floaty 6s when you're playing a floaty 9 and a when you started off with 2 floaty 8s? Because we were playing 2 floaty 8s and then suddenly we got to 2 floaty 6s and then we got a floaty 9 and we said we can't play with a 2 floaty 6s and a floaty 9. You need to have a normal 9 then if you're playing the 2 floaty 6s because you've only got 1 8.
I think he went for the safe. After all of that, I think he went for the safest, most conservative change he could make. I completely ignored that. Polyphonic. At the end of the day, a 0-0 would have suited us fine. So he didn't overcomplicate it. He just went with the safe option. Is you know.
Do you think the away goal will cost us in the second leg?
The lack of an away goal might cost us.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray, just sort of rounding out the match analysis because it's been in depth.
Obviously,
Trent, has he been a little bit off form the last couple of games?
Yes, he's morphing into Cloyne with his up the top end.
The top end, yeah.
His really bad delivery, choice of pass thing is really annoying me. Even though back end when he's in his own position, he's fine. And when he's back playing right full, he's fine. But up the top end, his passing and choice of passes has been driving me nuts for the last few games. I don't know what's happened World Cup, but I don't know. But it wasn't that bad last year. I heard people saying it was never great. It was much better than it has been this season. And it's one of them which is where it was with Cloyne. When the ball got to him up near the edge of the box, I almost knew the move was coming to an end. And it's got that way now with Trent. I don't know what's happened, but it's very frustrating.
The loss of Keita is, you know, I've said it a couple of times online. I've even mentioned it in the conversation we had. I've found him very underwhelming this season. Having watched him for Leipzig, right, last season, and seen him the previous year as well, I was expecting an explosion in the pre-season. He looked such a class above everything else that's on the pitch.
He had everyone.
And even in those early games, I
excited.
think of the Crystal Palace match. I know I keep coming back to the turn that was down in the bottom in the corner at the Kop where he just basically the ball goes out to him and he just flips the shoulder, leaves. I think it could be Martin Kelly still running after the ball or whichever it was.
Palace. At Palace, yeah.
It was sensational, right? But we haven't seen that
Townsend.
player. Townsend, wasn't it? Yeah, it's Townsend still is
Townsend
running.
is
He ran
it around Ballymore now.
He did, just go straight across the Thames. But we haven't seen that player. And even tonight, I know he goes off injured, but he wasn't setting the word.
He didn't have a great first 15 minutes actually before he went down. It was almost it almost felt like a fakey injury
when you see it before. Hopefully, I look, touch wood.
I know.
There's plenty of wood around us, right?
I know.
That
like backs are dodgy enough, like, you know.
Well, I'd say because we watch a fair bit of the NFL, right? But the injuries where there's
Nilo's walking out.
But no, the reason I say the one thing that the commentators over there always say, the non-impact injuries are always the ones with the biggest concerns because it's something has snapped in the body.
Yeah.
Like that, there's no challenge, there's no collisions, there's no banging knees, there's no 50-50 challenge there. He basically just sits down on the pitch and he's...
Yeah, well, I wonder will they root round in footage now and find someone, he went up for a header and someone caught him with a knee in the back or something. I'm hoping that'll be the case and it's an impact injury.
Well,
sorry, apologies.
You don't have to worry.
Yeah, I'm hoping that might be a thing because, like you say, just dropping down with it like that and coming straight off the pitch without there being an impact would suggest it might be something serious.
Yeah, we don't want serious injuries at this stage of the season.
No.
It was it reminded me of that incident last night when did you see when Pogba sort of had that instant where he went for the ball and he got completely done and then he just kind of went down and pretended he'd done his ankle out for 5 minutes. Big pretendy injury. I thought it was another one of them on stage, but no, look, hopefully it's not, it's not a long term. He managed to dodge the old neck surgery, didn't he?
Yeah.
In pre-season, so hopefully, touch wood, he'll be okay.
Yeah, because we do, and we need options. I don't care. We'd like to be able to continue the good rotation and keep the midfield fresh and the whole lot. It is. I know people. I've already seen one sort of Hendo's a prick comment
We're going to see more of him now.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more.
Oh, listen, you know, to be fair, I thought when he came on the first half, I thought actually by the end of the first half, I thought he'd come on and did a decent enough job. I just think the second half were found a bit wanting.
Yeah, that mad stat now about all the goals going in when he's on the pitch as well. That's going strong, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I don't know what the stat is. I pay no attention to stats. People, every time I see stats now, I used to love. I didn't mind the odd bit of stats. It's now we've now gone out into the stats world. It's like, you know, when you see Old School and Frank the Tank is on stage and his head just gets lost in another world in terms of just stuff. That's just stats. It's just like numbers flying all over the shop.
I think the stat is when Henderson's been on the pitch, we've conceded 8 goals, and when he's not been on the pitch, we've not conceded.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Those people going to go down that avenue regardless, isn't it? I wasn't at Anfield that day and they scored 6, so it's my fault for not being there. And
that's just sensational.
Just throw a bit of fuel on that one.
Yeah.
What about, was Lovren on the pitch? Who conceded all these goals?
And Moreno.
Moreno was there as well. Yeah. I think who else was there? Milner was there. Yeah, Poulsen. He was there as well.
And don't forget Sacco. For Christ's sake.
Sacco was also on the pitch all the time. Henderson was there. We could see the goals. Right, lads, moving along. I'm just going to, Gav, if you can note this here, this will be where we may insert an ad.
Oh.
Okay.
Thanks.
Pause.
No, we can't. We're live.
Live.
Ray, this is not like the olden days where we used to stop the thing to let you go to the toilet.
Okay.
You're going to have to be a big boy and cross your legs.
This is going to be bad.
Painful.
For the electricity underneath.
Well, I'd say the only thing that's
got to the guest camera for the next
I know. I think it'll only be
honestly think I'm messing. I'm that close to going down my leg. I've been holding it for 10 minutes.
The good thing is that the wire in here is totally unsafe, and if you do, there's a good chance you'll set you for your cock. You'll be going back to Turkey not for a hair transplant. They'll be crafting one out of your legs. You'll be like Michael Jackson.
I'm going to.
Honest to God. Just hold on to it. It's all good.
We've only got half an hour left.
Zoom in on Dicko there for 2 minutes there.
And Nilo.
Don't forget Nilo. If anyone listening has a wide-mouthed Lucasade bottle, they could drop it into the studio for Ray to use.
Zoom in on Dicko there for 2 seconds.
What is life?
Right.
Where are you going?
He's doing Nilo. I'll talk to you as
Go on.
Anyway,
any questions?
So
anyway,
what were we talking
any questions?
about? What were we talking about?
Now, can you hear me now?
Can you? Can you?
Let Ray can just come back in and host.
Do you know we have to hold our hands? Can you hear us, Gavin? Can you hear us?
It's like that episode of Only Fools and Horses when they're doing the seance. Do you remember? No, was there any questions? No, we were talking about the substitution there, and one lad was saying that he felt it was the right change. I don't know. I just keep going back to that. I think, like you said, Henderson comes on, and I think he starts quite well when he comes on. He gets stuck in. He outpaces the lad a couple of times on the left, wins the ball back, recycles it, not too bad. But that link keeps disappearing between midfield and forward. And as much as you want to talk about, you know, how badly the forwards are playing, they seem a bit isolated to me. No, when we play teams that we're controlling, because they're not isolated, we're right up the pitch.
That's what I was saying earlier on, Gav. We looked very stretched. For the first time in a long time, I can remember a Klopp team looking very stretched from back line to front line. Instead of being 25 yards between them, there was 45, what looked like 45 to 50 yards between them. And it's very hard to have very swift, fast interplay when you have that, because you literally don't have the outballs to move it through midfield. And that became quite clear and quite obvious, especially in that second half. When we got on the ball, when we broke them at the edge of our box, because we were so far away from our forwards and so far, the midfield was so far away from the forwards, there wasn't an outball to play into the forwards to hold up to them.
Could that feed into the Trent thing as well? When he's getting into the final third, he probably feels that, not that the game's getting away from him, but he feels he really has to make it count. You know, in other games Trent gets in and he swings, like opening day of the season at West Ham, he swings 4 balls in the first half, 3 of them are atrocious, one's not bad. Yeah, but he knows he's going to get more chances. Is it probably in his psyche that I have to get this right, and he's probably overthinking it as well when he's forward?
I don't know. The thing I noticed tonight was he was getting forward and it was breaking down, or he was losing the ball or whatever, and then they were straight on us then, and then Milner then felt the need to then cover back in his position, and
I think he just fell.
And he just basically
Fell to his
waltzed
knees.
through the midfield time and time again, you know. So I don't know, Trent up the other end of the pitch tonight. What was a problem time and time again, and I don't know. Maybe he does need a
break.
Yeah, maybe he does need
Well,
a game or two.
No, just last thing on it, like you're talking about Trent. Look, you go and look at Robertson. I don't think Robertson was as effective as he usually is. I think that changed.
No, but he wasn't caught out. He wasn't
caught out. They got in behind him once, and it was an offside,
And they scored.
which was offside.
And then remember the time they got in behind them and they scored.
Yeah, but you have to remember. I think if you look at the fullbacks,
He wasn't caught out by the time they got in
No,
behind
but what
him.
I'm saying is, what I'm saying is,
no.
you're talking about Trent, but if you look at Robertson there, I don't think Robertson is as effective today either, because they're so used to playing a certain way. I think that change for me changed everything about the side and changed the fullback's job. You know, the fullbacks are used to, you know, having a guy that's further up the pitch and they walk off him and they walk off Mane and he walks off, say, a Milner that's further up. But if you watch them three as soon as Henderson comes off, they're very deep. And the fullback's probably going, they're in my space. They shouldn't be here. I just think it affected everyone, that change. That's why I thought it was wrong. Want to come back in, Ray? Come on then.
We'll do a swap around now. It's just seamless. Nobody knows what's going on at all.
Yeah, no, but
Might last
this is
through
how we roll.
to the
Sorry,
end.
ladies and gentlemen, that's down to the 8 cans that Ray had before we started. Right, Phil, back over to you.
Small bladderitis, I call it, Gam.
Small bladderitis. There we go. It's just like it's like professional television.
Yes.
At least he came back when he went.
Yeah, that does help. Okay, look, let's move along because you know I do want to talk about the City game at the weekend, and I do want to put some context on where we're going this season, because we're going into the City game with an international break coming up. It does give us a chance again to regroup and sort of, you know, as we were saying, that sort of mental pressure, the idea that it's constant game after big game after big game after big game so early in the season. There's a bit of a release, a bit of a ability for the mind to sort of relax, and we don't have the full on sort of number of games, thankfully, because we're out of the Caribou Stork Nightmare Cup. So, you know, there is that sort of element of some rest weeks being able to get in there. But looking at City seem to have they've had their wobble, and they've come back twice as hard as they were before. And
What was that wobble?
When
Wolves.
they drew a match.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, isn't it? That's where we're at. Typical, a good Liverpool team comes along and we have a fucking machine like that, where a fucking draw is a wobble. A fucking draw is a wobble.
I know, yeah.
And they're already, 6-7 goals
come
ahead
on,
of us? And
Come on, seriously.
11.
It's crazy.
Like, it's
crazy,
11 goals ahead of us.
Now, look, there is going on. I remember I was watching this film last night, right? And it was about this Spanish lad who just went around with magic juice, right?
What type of juice would that be?
Well, he used to go. He
It
had
wasn't
a,
Enrique, was it?
no, he had a team of elves.
Okay.
He used to manage teams of elves playing elf ball.
Elf ball.
And when he started off himself, he found the magic juice,
Okay.
but wasn't allowed to play elf ball because the magic juice wasn't allowed. And then he started managing the team of elf balls, and all of a sudden that team never got any injuries. Then he left that team, and that team started getting injuries. And he went to another team who started using the magic juice. And they didn't get injuries. And then he left that
Was
team.
Mr. Miyagi in this, and every time they got injured, he done that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lived in a town called Fuentes, and was very close to Barcelona. So, on a completely unrelated note, Kevin De Bruyne is back for City this weekend.
He's not.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's somehow career-ending injury, and he's back after 2 days. Unbelievable.
The fella had a cruciate ligament injury, and it's healed in 4 weeks.
Water. Remember back when you were playing Sunday League football and water,
Do you think
magic
that
sponge?
do you think there's any truth in it that he uses Angel Revive water?
Yeah, I'm sure Stevie be sending him over an old case or two.
Yeah,
just you know.
I'm just wondering,
Karma.
out loud, because it just
He
seems
won't. Will he actually play him? Is he just going to throw him in, do you think?
Well, he's had his leg replaced.
Because they've missed him so much. They've about 9 million goals and drew one match.
Yep.
And
They had the wobble.
Worrying about De Bruyne. Oh,
Yeah.
sweet Jesus. This is what I'm saying. It's fucking typical of us that we've come up against this fucking T2000 of a fucking team now again.
Well, the
You
mad
know?
thing was on Saturday. You know, had we have lost that, we'd won the first 6 games since
And
1832.
hand on heart, I think we could also. Were
yeah.
you expecting this good a start? And much as everyone was
No,
saying we're going to do
no.
well, and look, I wasn't winning this amount of games.
We'd
I
won the
thought we'd
first
do
6
okay.
games, and then we were a few minutes away from ending that game on Saturday in 3rd place in the league.
Yeah.
There's 6 wins and 1
Yeah.
defeat. I mean, and that's the pace that we're going to have to maintain throughout the season. It's fairly obvious now.
Yeah.
City's wobbles are going to be few and far between. The only thing that gives you a little bit of hope is how easy City's start to the
has been.
season
Yeah,
has been,
yeah.
and hopefully, I was thinking, a week ago when they come up against their first true test against us, that we were, they won't be quite cherry ripe sort of thing. But now I'm starting to feel almost like the opposite. That when you compare the run of games that they've had to ours, and the whole fatigues business, and the fact that they can rotate,
There's the concept of momentum as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if we lose.
Yeah, no, but
If
it's
you're winning,
confidence,
if you're
yeah.
winning games and you're confident, and I go back to the idea that Salah, Mane, and Firmino haven't been really hitting the heights, but at the same time, look at the defenses they've been facing over the last 5-6 weeks. They're not facing the shite of the league. Right, they're not facing a defence that's just going to open up and they're going to score 5 or 6 goals.
I know you're not a big cup fan, Phil, but it's times like this particularly like this, when it's somehow it's in your team, but it's not quite clicking, that you'd like for a fucking Northampton at home and Anfield and an 8 or 9-0 just to.
But Ray, we wouldn't start the first teamers.
Yeah, no, I think. Do you know what? I think Southampton was almost our opportunity to do that, and I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't. We didn't sort of.
But you're always going to struggle to do that against a Darryl Mark Hughes team who will not concede many.
Yeah,
right?
he made sure they didn't get thrashed in the second half.
Exactly. So there's that element as well. And teams, unless it's like what we did last year. If we can score early and quick at the opening part of a game, I'm sure we'll go on and score a lot of goals. Right?
Yeah.
The fact is, but we are playing another big game where the defence is just is an elite level defence, and they aren't going to give up any chances. Like they came and took more chances at Anfield than any other team has outside of Roma last season, and they got punished all over the shop. But we played them in Anfield after we had done serious damage to a lot of teams and knew how to play our press, knew when to thing, and the lads were scoring for fun at that point in time. It was after Christmas. We gone through a really tough run of games, come out the other side of it, and started putting some form together, and went into that. I think it was the 18 game on Beaton Street. It was in the middle of the 18 game on Beaton Street that we hit City, and we hit them for 4. It's more similar to when we went to whatever the fucking name of their stadium is at this stage, the Dodgy Money Arena, right, in Manchester. And we got, it was very much a 50-50 game until Mane gets sent off.
I would even say we were the better team up until this ending off. We'd 3 or 4 really golden chances now to go.
And then Hologram lets one through him, because he's scared to come out for the ball.
Yeah.
But and that's where we've strengthened. Our defence is a lot stronger going into this game. We've got to worry: have we got enough to break down that City defence? Because we aren't clicking.
But we have enough. It's exactly, the clicking is the important thing. We know we have enough. It hasn't materialised the way it did last time. The play isn't leading to those balls over the top and acres of space that Salah was running into and stopping and cutting it back or burying in the top corner. That hasn't materialised this season. So it is there, but. I'm just hoping for one of those big atmospheres and it just clicks for us. It's one of them games where it just happens for us, and that could be, like you say, it'd be perfect to go and beat them and then go into the international break, regroup, do whatever he needs to do on the training ground to get us back up to speed.
I just wonder, does he have the balls to throw Shaqiri in there?
But where?
In amongst that 3
up top.
Yeah.
Is the balls not to put him into the midfield?
Potentially, but that I mean,
in the same way that Oxlade-Chamberlain was the one that did the damage to City, that started that route off against them in Anfield last year, and the same in the Champions League games. because he ran at them
Yeah, it's
from that attacking.
Gavin mentioned it earlier. I think that's probably what is causing maybe the lack of spark up top, is that we haven't got the thing from midfield. Keita hasn't done what we thought he was going to do, and we had Chamberlain doing it. So there was that almost, not even a box to box, but a proper out and out attacking midfielder. Its first focus was to drive forward, and you put the three lads in there without Keita, and that's not there.
I think
So,
Chamberlain would definitely be getting his game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm
was
disappointed.
available.
If he had the Angel Revive that City have, I think Chamberlain would be playing.
Well, what about Keita? Can we get the Angel Revive onto Keita?
Can we get it onto Lallana? Like, what's going on?
He's retired. Retired.
When's he back?
Next England training session.
He retired as soon as he put that mohawk. with
He's
blonde
going. He's
hair in.
going. He's going training for England next week on the train again. Do you remember injured on the train? On the England train.
It just occurred to me on the drive over here tonight that he was still at the club.
Klopp said the same thing. Only sees him going in the driveway every night.
It's
Neighbours.
not. Klopp isn't even worried about that. He turns around and sees Markovic everywhere. It's like fucking The Shining. Here's Lazar. Gavin, you want to make a point?
No, I just want to see if you agree with me. I think the game.
No.
Okay.
Anyway,
I think the game on Sunday is the perfect game for us.
Do you?
Yeah, I think if City have any balls about them, they'll come out and play like they always do, and it'll suit us down to the ground. If City have no balls about them, they'll come out and just try a contain job on us, and I think we'll still beat them. But I think, if we went into a game at the weekend where, say I know we've done it already, but a Leicester or a Newcastle, they're destined to sit back and could probably, frustrate us a little bit. I think if City come out and show some balls and set up like they always do against us, I think it works in their favour.
right.
I hope you're right. That's all I'm
Yeah.
going to say to that.
Okay.
Napoli showed balls tonight and we were shite, so...
But this is it. Napoli came out and showed they had a bit about them, showed a bit of bollocks, and they got the just rewards. And that's out the back of us saying, oh well, the Carabao Star Cup, nobody gives a shit about that this time last week, but this one we heard about.
I know you and I disagree, but I did genuinely think I'm not all doom and gloom. Tonight Napoli deserved to win. It was more sort of we were scattery and disjointed and stuff, but I genuinely thought we played well against Chelsea. Thought we deserved well more than a point. Well more as in 3 points. I thought,
Bonus points.
we deserved to win. I thought we were by far the better team. So I'm still saying we're disjointed, but I don't think we're as bad as the negativity is making us feel at this minute. Negativity.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's start with the roundup on the predicciones.
The predicciones.
So the question that started first is
Yeah.
changes, man of the match, first goal scorer, first corner minute, and colour of corner flags used. Because every time we add something on, somebody else brings out a new show about it. So like this is what I want to know, right? So let's start with.
I'll start at the start.
Yeah.
We're going to lose the toss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
You're going to do the switch.
We're doing the toss show now. Get the biscuits.
Prediction of the lineup.
Yeah. Would you make any changes? Would you make just
I
strategically? Would you make any tactical changes to move us away from the 4-2-3-3 to the 4-1-1? The floaties and the
Depends how many floaties you want, isn't it?
yeah. Right, how many floaties are you playing?
I'd like to play.
I love Ray's laugh.
I'd play the floaty midget. Yeah.
What about the Heidi 8? You playing him?
Yeah, I'm playing the idea. Yeah, I'd like to see Shaqiri giving a go.
Okay.
Yeah.
For who? For who?
Probably for Henderson or Milner.
Okay. So to play him in that
Yeah.
attack midfield role, to give us that bit of dynamism.
Yeah, now that you've sort of
Okay.
said it. And the score at the end of all that, I think we get beat 3-1.
You're going to it, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Are you going to show
And-
the rocks at the bus? throw rocks at the buses, at the Manchester City buses. They'd be very scared.
No, it's only there's
Are
still
you gonna do it? Andy lookalike. Get out of me!
there's still wanting posters.
24.
Get out of that garden!
It was like they're like that university in England who won't let them clap hands anymore, so they're all doing jazz hands to say they're happy. Well done.
There's all wanting posters outside the Arkles.
For customers. They're selling foam hands now with Andy's face on it.
By the way, if anybody sees Andy in Anfield, just give him one of these.
But it wasn't Andy. Andy's lookalike. It was
Andy's
not
sorry,
Andy.
if you see Andy's lookalike, he's not
It
going
was
to the
not
match this
Andy.
Although the
weekend.
bad thing was his brother was directly behind that lookalike.
That
was mad.
But that's Andy's lookalike's brother. Is Andy's brother's lookalike.
It was Floaty Andy.
Floaty Andy.
And his Heidi brother. His Heidi brother.
It's Heidi brother and then Floaty Andy. What's the real Andy? Ray.
I think the Keita injury will be key to whether there is them changes. Would I wouldn't change it if Keita is free. If he's not, then I would be willing to push Shaqiri in ahead of Hendo there in the midfield, play him at the top.
Everyone dumping Hendo.
Yeah, well, because you're looking at it, I think Milner coming up against his old team and plus his energy and all this, there's more impetus on going forward there than there will be with Henderson. So,
I mean, it wouldn't bother me if we rested or dropped, whichever way you look at it. Depends what your view is. If Milner was on the bench, to be honest.
Yeah,
and bring him on later in the game, you know, when there's a job to be done.
My reason for leaving out Henderson is not because I hate him. My reason for leaving out is, and I said it last week, and I thought he got cut out quite a bit by Chelsea about it. I don't think he's a very good player at turning in tight spaces. I think he's very good with the play in front of him. I think he's very good when the play the way he's the way he's facing, right? I think if you're playing a midfield who likes to move quickly and move the ball through midfield quickly, he can get bypassed very quickly, and Chelsea did that to him quite a bit at the weekend. So it's those quick 1-2 passes around him, and they get around him very easily, and suddenly he's isolated, and it means that you need to cover him behind.
From a City point of view, where we what you've seen of them with their danger men, so it's something that we, you know, when we're talking about our team, that we need to look at it in some respect that good that we have to almost pick our team to sort of stifle them, or is that the way?
I don't see it like that. What I see more that if you potentially I like the idea of Shaqiri playing or somebody in that role, that a real dynamic midfielder who's going to basically launch attacks and run at them. Right, because the one thing they don't like is people running directly at the defenders.
And there's an unpredictability, isn't there, with Shaqiri playing? Like he's
they won't have seen that before as well.
Even us now as fans, we wouldn't know what's going to happen with him there, where he's going to end up, or what he's going to do. You know,
but to my mind, then we've got two issues here now, right? Milner's energy is not so much about what he does on the ball; it's the amount of space he covers. And he covers a lot of Henderson when Henderson gets bypassed in that midfield. I don't like the Wijnaldum Henderson thing where they sit in beside each other, because I think both of them are quite unsure as to who's got the responsibility for what.
Yeah.
And I'm almost leaning towards, if you play Shaqiri, that you need to play Wijnaldum and Fabinho.
Oh, Fabinho.
And the reason I'm saying Fabinho is because Fabinho was brought in as a specialist defensive midfielder, and in that type of system, it means that Wijnaldum can do both, can link, can tidy up, can sit in beside but also break, and we've seen him do that quite effectively this season. If we're going to play a dynamic player in front of them, which is say someone like Shaqiri, then you need somebody who is literally going to sit and screen that defence as we push up.
A DM.
Somebody who's going to break that play up. And as much as we laughed at it, the one thing Fabinho was doing is, as Napoli were trying to break tonight, he was just cutting across, covering ground and horsing the ball into the middle of the stands and breaking down their attacks so they couldn't get down on us. So to me, that's if you're going to go that way, you're going to have to make two changes there. For me, that's where you have to make two changes, because
maybe this is the club we're moving towards. We're not used to this, lads. Let's be honest, of having a really strong bench, and that the fact that
we had this core last season, didn't we?
But it limited us to certain formations, and I think this time we literally can prick around and act the bollocks. And mightn't be such a big drop down in standard to what we're used to. We can, like you say, move Fabinho in, move Milner in, move, you know, and it's not such a big drop down anymore. And maybe we'll have to get used to that. We're not going to be stonewall in the way we play. Certain teams, he is going to change things, or certain games might go a certain way, and we have the ability now from the bench to change.
I mean, the other option is, you know, Wijnaldum is the one of the three who gets forward more and links up that play. You've seen him do that at Anfield quite a lot. So I wouldn't, you know, and then maybe you do play Fabinho as the guy who screens the back four if you've got Wijnaldum pushing on furthest, you know.
I don't see him making that many changes, by the way. I think it'll be, if he does one, it'll be to bring Shaqiri in for potentially Mane or Salah.
But the Keita thing is massive, isn't it?
I think the loss of Keita is huge. I think the midfield, I think Klopp's midfield for Sunday will be Henderson, Milner and Wijnaldum. I don't think there's any, I don't think he'd make any tactical changes.
If Keita was fit, you still think that's who we go with?
I don't know. It probably would have depended on what type of performance he put in tonight. But I think he probably would have sprung Keita from the bench if we needed somebody to give us a much more dynamic threat through midfield.
I think he might, you know, he'd risk one. I say risk, but he'd go with one potential surprise. I wouldn't see him go with two potential surprises.
Yeah, it's not that dread of fear of who we might bring in, and we're not.
It's fake confidence.
No,
It's
a strength in this fucking squad, and it's not such a big drop down anymore, and I'm loving it. You know, even when we're talking about bringing in X, Y, Z,
I'm full of fear.
No, we are full of fear, regardless of who plays. You said we're gonna get trounced 3-1, mate. Regardless of who plays.
What's the score?
I think if we go into the lead, we're going to win 2-1 or 3-1. Okay, I think if we go behind, then I'd agree with Ray. Sorry, I was just...
You were looking down at imaginary television watching what happened at the weekend.
He's going all ESPN.
Yeah, fair enough. Come on.
What's score?
2-1 the Reds.
2-1.
I can't see anything down there.
2-1 the Reds.
2-1
the Reds, Philip.
There's two other lads here for predictions, so...
Again, my argument's around the Shaqiri Fabinho thing. That's probably the only changes that I'd potentially look, because I think one means that you need the other. You know what I mean? But I don't see it happening. I think the team pretty much picks itself. I think he says more or less what he wants. So I don't know. Right. Score. 1-1.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah, I knew you were going to be on the fence.
Yeah, no, I do. I think things are so tight amongst the teams in the top 4 or 5 this year. Yeah. Between Chelsea, ourselves, Spurs. I know we beat Spurs, but genuinely between ourselves, Chelsea, ourselves, Spurs and City, I think you're going to see a lot more drawn games in those matches than wins. And the league will be decided against what you do to everybody else in the league as opposed to what you do to each other, which tends to be the way the league goes anyway.
I just I really worry if we do lose on Sunday, and I'm saying that prediction, hoping 100% that it's wrong. But if we do lose, I struggle to see us winning the league. I know that's a big shout at this stage of the season, 7 games in, but to make up 3 points on City and the goal difference,
I don't see us win the league and didn't from the start of the season. So I'm delighted with the start we made, and it was for me from pre-season, it was always on how good City were going to be, and I wasn't expecting Chelsea to be as good as they were either. So I mean, let's just hang on in there, and it'd be nice to be still hanging on to coattails or be on top, just being in and around it a bit longer into the season, and let's see what happens. Because as I say, to be where we are and still haven't clicked the form that's seen us play some of the amazing football we did last season, then you can't say it's not a good thing.
So loss. Win. Draw.
Gav, you've got the deciding vote.
For me, I don't think Keita will play. The way he went off that pitch tonight, I can't see him playing. You're looking at the likes of Milner there tonight, and you're thinking how many days recovery has he got. Milner definitely plays. There's no doubt about it. The industry he shows against teams, especially like City, where he gets stuck in. You look at Spurs away, he was the same. For me, I'd go Fabinho, Milner, Wijnaldum. Henderson comes on after 20 minutes there, and again, for me, after 80 minutes, he's blown, and he's blown hard. And I mean that. And look, it's hard to say anything about Henderson anymore because it looks like
an agenda.
Yeah. And
do you think the World, obviously the World, he was eased in a little bit at the start. Do you think the World Cup thing There's a bit of a World Cup hangover
It could have been
fatigue-wise.
adrenaline probably got
Still.
through the first few games, and now he's starting to feel it now on this international break. Although he'll go on it, might do him very good. But for me, I go Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Milner, and I put Wijnaldum in that high D8 that he plays, because I think against these, like you said earlier, Ray, he has got this habit of picking up a ball and running 30, 40, 50 yards with it. And it gets us up the pitch, and then what happens is if it breaks down, he's actually very good at winning it back.
Up the pitch, I love that.
No, he does. He gets us up the pitch.
I agree
He
with
absolutely
you. I just
does.
love it.
Because when he gets us up the pitch and we pin someone in, he's actually very good at winning it back then and holding on to it and shielding the ball. So I go with them three. I wouldn't bring Shaqiri in. And I think Wijnaldum could be that link to the front three, and I think they'll improve on it. Prediction, 2-2 draw. And I'll tell you, look, if we play City after 8 league games and we're level with them,
Into the
regardless of
international
what
break.
Chelsea do,
Given our fixtures compared to their fixtures,
oh, listen, they're playing Pro Evolution Soccer fucking 2006 Amateur League, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. What is it? Is it Arsenal?
They
plus
play
the three
Arsenal plus
promoted
that's right.
teams from last
play-
year, and the
and
three
this
promoted
season.
teams
And they
this
played
Yeah.
Cardiff 4 times as well in that spell. So
year.
It
And Spurs gave them a lend of that bonus system.
Yeah.
I know people argue sort of saying it balances out. Everyone has to play the same teams and all, but I'm a big fan of having an easy start to the season because it
Yeah.
gets your tail in the air. I don't
That
care
was
what
my-
anyone
It
that was
says.
seemed to
one point
happen
I
every
know.
year
It's-
to United.
yeah, it's-
When they
it's-
were winning the leagues
Yeah.
consistently.
They're
These seem to have
not
such an
going into
easy
games saying we
start.
haven't
That's
played
'cause they
anyone
paid-
big yet.
paid
They're
them all
going in
off.
saying
We've got 18
Yeah,
points.
exactly.
right. What was it? Okay, so look, before we move on to the random topic generator, the Cup table are back on this Friday, and the guys have a great competition. It is in association with At3 Retro. They do the retro Liverpool jerseys. There is a 1982 retro Liverpool shirt. There is a row over being a 1982 one. I don't believe it's a 1982 one either. I'm just putting it there because Crown Paints weren't their sponsor at that point, and this one has Crown Paints on it.
It was Hitachi.
Yeah. Anyway, right. So, doesn't matter. The jersey's deadly, and you can, if you want to wear the
84, is it?
84 jersey, yeah, it's absolutely fine, right? So the main thing here is you got to follow @3 retro, and that's @3 RETRO _ right? You got to follow us at LFC Day Trippers. You already do if you're watching this, and then also at the Cop Table, and retweet that tweet. I think the tweet's on our timeline. It's on the Cop Table's timeline as well. And the lads off the Cop Table, Pete will announce the winner on the podcast this Friday, and we'll get in touch with you to send on the details of the jersey.
Yeah, and just as well as that competition, I think they've lined up a collaboration with LA Clothing Company as well. I've seen that today, so there's plenty coming up.
Grant, so we'll let them announce that.
Jay Riley.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they're doing it with them, and
that's
we'll
great.
see
Yeah,
that next week.
yeah, that's Grant.
They've nice gear, LA.
I'm not
Clothing,
gonna
in fairness.
announce stuff for them. For fuck's sake, would you piss off? Now, anyway,
They'll do their own big announcement.
they can do their own big announcements. They're big
Yeah.
boys, and they can do it. Right, moving on
lads.
swiftly. Random topic generator. I'm gonna pick 3. One from the top, one from the bottom, and one from the middle. The first one from the top. Gavin, what's the random topic from the top?
Polyphonic ringtone.
Right, here's one, lads. To set this up, Ray, can you show the word your phone?
Hold on, Ray.
Can you show the word your phone?
How did you take a blue phone to Istanbul? Hey,
Ray is still using the set. I know when people say, "Where were you in
What
this?"
we have right there is the Nokia 3510i.
Toffee edition.
Was for the. I don't know why I have this.
in 2018.
Okay, so.
Tell them where you got it, Ray.
I got it off a guy who likes pandas, and he held it in the window of Emre Chan Khan's car. Can't remember his name.
Anyway,
Follow back. Hashtag.
so lads, polyphonic ringtone. Ray, can you play us a polyphonic ringtone?
That's what I'm going to do.
Just
I'm
so
gonna-
we can
let's
remember.
you have to
go.
remind me.
Right, okay, are we ready for this?
Because people are so used to music at this stage.
Tones.
Yeah.
Tone settings. Incoming caller there. Ringing tone.
Will you come on?
Right, here, wait now. Oh, wait now. Wait, you have to... Look, excuse me
He's
for not
so
being,
out of practice.
excuse me for not
started
knowing my
playing
way around
Snake.
Right, let's go. Right now.
Hold up to the mic. Now, for anyone that's under the age of 30, right, this is what mobile phones used to be until the iPhone was invented 10 years ago. And this was literally state-of-the-art technology. Now, I have to say, right, I don't know if I had one of them. I had the smaller Nokia one.
Okay.
The 9210 or whatever it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it had the colour screen and internet connectivity. GPRS internet connectivity. Wasn't 1G, wasn't 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, LTE-G. There was no Gs. It was 2F. It was before the Gs came around.
But do you know
What was your favourite polyphonic ringtone?
Do you know, I cannot remember the name of it, but when I made a joke about this, and Brenzy's still alive, by the way, he's out there, for all you people that don't know, he's still out there, but he mentioned a tune, and I just remembered that it was amazing. It was, I can't remember the name of it, maybe someone will think of, if anyone that had polyphonic ringtones, this was the tune to have downloaded on your phone.
The one thing that I remember polyphonic ringtones was, and Ray Dicko, you remember this, the price of there was a whole industry. There was $1 billion industry.
85 quid for a ring.
Yeah, 85 quid for a ringtone for your phone.
And you paid over like... Sorry, I better
It was about 85 quid for a ringtone, and you had to pay it over a series of about 18 texts.
Yeah, you got 18 texts, or else you rang
A number for 4 hours.
Somehow went, yeah, right, go on, you can have it.
Yeah. It's really disturbing when you see what phones used to be.
Some of the names, running late, I mean, come on.
Ray, how long does the battery last?
This was the point I wanted to get onto. That thing was charged about 3 weeks ago. Now, once I wound it up and carried the battery in on me on the backpack, 4 weeks.
And they've made a bit of a comeback, haven't they?
Well, the question I wanted to ask you was,
how
did you find a SIM card big enough to put in that phone?
No, because it's my old SIM card. I had to go back down to Vodafone and say, can you reinstate that thing? And they said, no, that number's not valid anymore. And now it is. No one, I think they have a period where if it's not used, they can give the number back out to someone else again. But because there had been credit on it, they can't give it away. So it's
credit?
Credit.
Credit.
It's a ready to go credit. Ready to go credit phone.
Oh my days!
Look, let's
Polyphonic
just have a
ringtones.
look here. Watch,
Ready
you
to
see
go.
the size of this, right?
The complete opposite of a burner phone, this thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I can't even open the effing thing. So just carry on there, and I'll eventually.
Is that
walk
not the
out.
one that you had to change the covers?
Yeah, look.
Oh,
you could
yeah.
change the back
You could
on
change
this
the
one.
back.
There was others where you
You
could
could change
add
the front as well.
Front as well. Look at the size
It's
of
all,
the
it's
SIM
all
card.
coming
Look.
back now.
Look, the SIM card is the size of some small African
Holy
countries.
Jesus.
Can you see that?
That's off the charts. That is off the charts.
Oh, yeah. My first SIM card was the size of a credit card.
Yeah.
Was the size.
It was a credit card. So, would you recommend going back to a Nokia 13?
You know what? It's been refreshing not grabbing your phone every couple of minutes by not having all the social media there, but at the same breath, I miss it a little bit as well. So take a pick. It's nice to have a break.
What's the next one then, Gav? Anything else there on the random generator?
The only other one we were talking about earlier was people in rugby jerseys that shouldn't be in rugby jerseys.
Yeah, this was something I brought up earlier.
Never wear
Are
rugby
rugby
jersey.
jerseys an excuse for fat people to feel athletic?
See, I think that's a bit now fast.
Well, listen, I'm carrying timber. I'm fat, but what I'm saying is, you see people carrying serious timber, and they wear a rugby jersey with pride.
Hang on.
Any other sporting jersey, they wouldn't put near them. But for some reason,
That's not true.
Oh,
That's not true, right?
Well,
And I'll
okay,
tell you
I'm
where-
talking majority. You're
No,
going to
I'll
pick
tell you-
out one fella
I'm
you're
not.
seeing somewhere.
I'm not. You
Okay,
walk
go on.
around. You walk around your local shopping centre,
Yeah.
Blanchardstown. You have to, because Krispy Kreme donuts are fucking out there. Right?
2 hours I spent in the queue the other night.
And all you'll see is
I did 2 hours. I went into it thinking it'd be half an hour, and I was 2 hours.
4XL,
queuing for donuts.
Celtic, United, and Liverpool jerseys all over the shop.
Okay, yeah. No, listen, I'm not saying you will
XXL.
get, but what I'm saying is, you have a look around and you see the 80% of the people wearing rugby jerseys, at carrying timber. Whereas I put it down at
But
20.
it's not,
40
isn't
with
it not a
soccer
big man
jerseys.
sport, no?
But this is what I'm saying. I think people think that because it's a big man sport that it's okay to do it. I was saying another fella like pushing 18 stone wearing a rugby jersey. Here's another fella thinks he's, I don't know, I was going to pick out rugby, but the days of them being the huge bastards in the rugby, as in proper fat, now they're serious
Now they're
machines.
22 stone
22 stone
of muscle.
Of muscle.
Yeah, of
right.
wall.
Now, but I think the
Basically,
throwback days are
like
where
they're,
there was...
they're basically small rhinoceroses that
Yeah.
run at each other now.
Yeah, basically.
And the odd Peter Stringer, is it?
Yeah, you get, there's a clear change between the backs and the forwards now at this stage. Forwards are walls that run at you. The backs are the lads who can jump
No,
over
but
walls.
what I'm saying is now you're seeing even on a soccer match when the Republic of Ireland are playing, and there's fat fellas coming in with an Ireland rugby jerseys because that gives them a green light to wear the green.
Yeah, but they're wearing the RFU
But
jerseys.
no, that's what I'm saying. They think, oh, listen, I look all right in this going out tonight. No, you don't, mate. You don't normally you don't wear skin tight stuff if you're carrying timber, but with
Unless
a
you're on a
rugby
bike.
jersey, they
Unless you're on
seem
a
to think,
unless you're on a bike.
Well,
Because that's the other time it's allowed as well.
Yeah, I'm wearing the
You know when you
on the
see
bike.
people whose arses are eating the saddle,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're like, they go, "Are you part of the bike? Is the bike
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
you?" I don't know
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, are you gonna put me onto the main camera? I want to say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, if you want.
Are we
Yeah,
done?
cheers, thanks. Yeah, we are done.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Anyway, thanks for watching. That has been the Day Trippers of Tuesday, Wednesday night. Thankfully, there's no match on next week. We'll be back.
There's an Ireland match on, I think.
Yeah, there's no match on next
No
week.
match on. He
Um,
was right the first time. It's no match on.
He did, yeah. We'll be back on our Tuesday slot for the Tuesday Club, which is where we got our name from. Joining me tonight was, of course, the two Rays, Ray
The two
Dickinson
Rays.
and Ray Brady, aka Smithy, aka Halfway Headline.
It'll be complete next time he's on, yeah?
Yeah,
Yes,
the next time
well,
we're getting him another $2
$2
grand.
go fund me.
To fill in the rest of the side. At the moment, he looks like.
I've been buying a phone before.
At the moment, he looks like Zidane before Zidane realised he'd gone bald. NASA took pictures of his head last night, thinking they were taking a shot at the rover on Mars.
What would you do? Honestly, what would you do if you got...
You went off and you got a hair transplant and you
No, what
put a
would
ginger
you-
one in like Ray.
what would you do
Ray, could you
if
not have
you
got a
went-
black hair or anything like that? Like, seriously, get a ginger hair transplant.
What do you think?
Do you get a little bag of hair? Do you get a little bag of hair
I was
to
going
bring-
around Barbara sweeping up the hair of people that were going
On the way home
Looks
from
like it.
Turkey, though,
Are you go-
did he give you a little bag of hair to bring home in
Yeah.
case, like?
Yeah, just in case.
Sound, yeah.
Are you going to
And
Carrick on the
some
Christmas too, yeah?
latex.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay, so,
Anyway,
look,
I was wrapping up.
all I was going to say is he looks a model to get his hair shaved on that Christmas do.
Yeah.
It grows back. It's not so it doesn't grow back, right? If you shave, it'll grow back. It's all right.
Yeah, that's what I told you the first time in 1994. 20 years later. Anyway, that has been the Tuesday Club. That was Ray Dickinson. That was Ray Brady. I was your host, Phil Casey. Thanks as ever to RedsBet for sponsoring us. We'll have bets along with them during the week. Friday we've got the Cop Table. Sunday we have the Fatback 4 after another win against City this time. We'll be back on Tuesday. Good night. God bless. See you then.